Well, first of all, let's just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are.
Well, I am Eliza Haze. I am wrestling's favorite flower child. I've been wrestling since December of last year. I made my debut kind of unexpectedly at Go Wrestle.
Unexpectedly? What do you mean by unexpectedly?
Well, I had been training at the school since fall of 2017, and I was getting ready to debut, but I wasn't quite there yet. I've been roughing shows at Go Wrestle. We do a weekly show every Friday night. And Gabrielle Arce was the champion at that time, and she had a match. She came in, she was ready to face her opponent, and her opponent didn't show. So she started trash talking the crowd. Now, the crowd in Daytona, I'm out in front of them every Friday night. You know, this is my hometown crowd here. So I told her enough was enough, and I told her, you know, if she really wanted to face someone that bad, I would face her. So I took off the stripes, and we started the match.
Well, there you go. And what promotion are you currently with?
I'm still with Go Wrestle every Friday night. I also work with Knockout. They're based in Leesburg. And doing a couple other promotions. I have a couple other shows coming up, one in Jacksonville and then one down in Stark at the end of October.
Oh, okay. Right on. Very good, very good. And how are you liking it?
Oh, I love it. It's a lot of fun. The crowds are always great.
Is it very different from going from reffing to wrestling?
Yeah, reffing is important because you have to have somebody in there keeping order because it gets crazy. Right. But actually being allowed free reign in the ring is a lot more fun.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Well, Eliza, let me ask you: as a kid, were you a fan of wrestling when you were younger? Did you watch it?
I was into it on and off. When I was really little, I would spend the weekends at my grandmother's house, and my grandmother had the biggest crush on the Undertaker. So she was
really.
So she would watch.
Undertaker.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So she would always watch for him. So I started watching when I was little. I got out of it for a while, and then when I was in college, I got back into it again. I I was dating someone, and we were broke college kids. So there's really nothing to do when you have no money. So we would sit at home and we would watch wrestling, and we'd sit there and try to guess what was going to happen that week. So that kind of like became our thing to do instead of going out on the town.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, you talking about what you watching with your grandmother? That kind of reminds me of when I was younger. Same thing. My grandmother, I'd watch wrestling with her, and she would get riled up. I'm telling you, she was definitely a fan of the good guys, because she would always she would just look at me and she'd do her fist and she'd like, oh, I hope he kicks his butt, talking whichever bad guy was out there, talking trash to the good guy. But yeah, it's just kind of funny that you say your grandmother, because it just kind of takes me back to when I was a kid with my grandmother. It just made me chuckle. So when you were watching, did you have a favorite when you were younger, or whenever you watched it, even as a kid, or in college?
I've always been a fan of Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio, he seems to be a popular one with a lot of people.
he always got me because he was always flying around, just always in the air, hardly feet touching the ground ever.
Right. Yeah, and he didn't back down from anyone, no matter their size.
Nope, and being on the short side myself, I thought that was pretty groovy.
Was there a particular wrestler that you say that kind of, I don't know, maybe inspired you or sparked your interest to become a wrestler yourself?
Honestly, I think it was him because
you would say it would
because of being on the short side.
Okay.
And I know when I first started watching, my favorite female wrestler was Alundra Blaze.
Okay. And that was going to be my next question, was which was your favorite female wrestler?
Yeah, her and then Lita. Because even when they were in the Diva era, Lita would still go in there and kick some butt.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, she would. That kind of, another question I have is, as far as the female wrestlers, what's your thoughts on just the intergender matches that seems to be more and more commonplace now? For you see the different female wrestlers taking guys on, and obviously the first person that comes to my mind is, and I'm a big fan of hers, is Tessa Blanchard in TNA. It seems like I don't think she wrestles any women anymore. It seems like every time I see highlights of her or anything about her, she's taking on the guys, and doing well too, holding her own.
Yeah, man. I think it's great. I mean, some of the girls out there are just as tough as the guys, and I've seen some of the guys that we've had come through, and I'd have to say some of the girls are tougher than them.
Yeah, if you think back to the old WWE days, Attitude Era with Chyna, she was kind of like that first one who seemed like was taking on guys. And it just, but she was one of like the only female ones. It wasn't too often, you wasn't gonna see, I can't think of, I'm just drawing a blank on her name now. Wow. Well, here, I'm doing a good job. My point is, some of the whole state of female wrestling has changed. It used to kind of be almost like not taken as seriously. Their things. They would have them out there doing, the lingerie pillow fights, or it's the Divas Mud Wrestling Challenge. And then you got China coming out there, and she's entering into Royal Rumbles, and she's taking guys on, and she was, winning belts from guys, and so she kind of was the first one really that started doing that a lot. And now you just see it's much more commonplace now for the women and the men to get out there mixing it up. And I, for one, think it's kind of cool. Like you said, some of these girls out there, they're just as tough as some of these guys, if not tougher.
Yeah, and I mean, it shows a lot for how equality's just flying forward right now in the independent circuit. I mean, I've had a couple of intergender matches over at Go Wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually just had one a couple weeks ago where me and my former tag team partner, we kind of reunited for the night and went after the tag team belt.
Okay, right on.
And we gave those boys we gave them a run for their money, but in the end, they managed to keep the belts on us.
Yeah. So I know you said you've been doing this since last December. Have you held any titles yet?
Not yet, but I am working on it. I'm currently chasing after the belt at Go Wrestle, the Women's Championship. I've been feuding back and forth with the women's champ there for a while, and eventually her luck is going to run out.
There you go.
Ember Cato has this habit of, let's just say, not always winning fairly. And, I mean, she gets the job done, I'll give her that, but it's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
So I'm coming after her, and I'm not going to stop until I get that gold.
There you go. If you need to, just put a tambourine upside her head, right?
Well, funny thing, she did that to me the other week, so I still am a little sore about that.
Oh, well, you owe her one then. So
yeah, I do, and she's hit me with chairs and my own tambourine, and I think it's time for some payback.
Absolutely. So talking about the women's wrestling, what are your thoughts on the current state of where female wrestling is at now? Now as compared to 10 years ago. You got people
saying,
like Becky Lynch, who she refers to herself as the man now. So,
well, she earned that one. She's been rocking the boat since she got there. I think it's come a long way. Like you're saying, back in like the 90s, early 2000s, we had the whole divas and everything where all you needed to get into a ring was a large cut size.
Right.
And I'm so glad that we've gotten away from that, man. It's just...
Oh, I agree.
I
agree. I think it's, like you said, I think it's cool because... I think that they can put on just as good a show. I mean, I can watch, you watch the bigger shows, your SmackDowns and your Raws, AEWs and whatnot, and TNA, all of it, and the women wrestlers, they do just as good, and it's just as entertaining of a match. In some cases, they steal the show sometimes.
Well, and that's the thing, women's wrestling will always be a little different from men's wrestling in that you're not going to have the two big, strong guys just throwing each other around for 8 to 10 minutes or whatever. It's more, like you can see more strategy in the women's matches because you're both smaller. And in some cases, you've got the girls that have the strength to just throw each other around, and it's absolutely brutal to watch sometimes. But there's more thought, there's more speed and agility in it.
Right. Talking about matches, if you could have your dream match with anyone you could, living or dead, who would that dream match be? Who would be the one person you would love to go against or have gone against?
I'd probably have to say Asuka. I love Asuka's style.
Yes.
She goes in there. She's got that strong Japanese style behind her, and she's just this tiny little ball of fire that just goes in and decimates everything.
Yes, I agree. I like Asuka. I like the whole, the whole character, the look, the way she comes out, and speaking of Asuka, just the other day, I saw something where, and if this is true, I don't know for certain yet. I haven't found, I haven't been able to find out if this is the actual case, but I heard that Asuka is actually two people, that they're twins, that they take turns. And I found that interesting, and I really want to find out if that is true. But I saw something online where they were talking about that Asuka is actually they're twins, and they both kind of take turns in that role. And I thought, wow, that's kind of wild if that is the case. Again, like I said,
that would be pretty trippy.
I don't know if it's true or not. I saw something online, and I haven't been able to verify it yet. But that would be pretty wild if that was true.
That would be.
Yeah, well, makes sense there. It's kind of like it seems like, wow, she never seems to get hurt. That's because if one gets hurt, the other one can step in. So on the same flip side here, as you're talking about, having a dream match. In that match, what is there any particular type of match you see now? Like we were saying, how the women now they're getting into Hell in a Cell matches, and they're doing these kind of things. Is there a style of match that you would love to be involved in?
Well, speaking back to my feud with Ember Cato at Go Wrestle right now, I think I'd really like to have a cage match with her, because I think that would definitely even the odds. She sometimes gets a little bit of help from her manager, El Nino. So I think getting rid of that outside interference would be pretty nice. Either that or a lumberjack match.
Oh, there you go. Lumberjack. Those ones are always entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
All right. So I asked you about a dream match. So let me ask you now, dream tag partner. If you could tag team with anybody, who would you love to tag with?
Oh, man. That one. Oh, that's a tough one. I don't want to say Oscar again, because I already said I was going to go up against it. But no, she would be amazing to work with. Probably one of either Becky Lynch or Charlotte Flair, because both are amazing talents, and both of them are a good bit taller than me, and I know like they have an easier time doing all those power moves.
Yeah.
And I think that would definitely help complement my style a little bit, because being shorter, it's hard for me to fling people around.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, especially Charlotte. I mean, she's got to be close to 6 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely physically imposing, as far as the female wrestlers go. So, with out of the big promotions that we have out there, the TNA Impact and WWE and the AEW. Which of those promotions would you like to be be associated with, involved with, wrestle for?
AEW is building one heck of a women's roster right now.
Yes. Just
the diversity that they have up there is crazy. So that would definitely be a lot of fun, because you're never going to have the same kind of opponent twice.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I like what AEW is doing all around. Yeah, they're. I hope that I hope that they stick around for a while. Like, me personally, I kind of like, the having the different promotions. Like I was a big fan. I loved back during the Monday Night Wars, when it was the WWE versus WCW, and going back and forth. As a wrestling fan, I enjoyed that, and I look forward to having that again. With the AEW and the WWE now. I think it makes for entertaining shows and television because everyone's trying to always one up the other one. So
yeah, I mean, competition is always a good thing.
I agree.
You can't get comfortable when there's somebody out there who's pushing the boundaries.
I agree. So let me ask you. We've talked about your favorites and who you'd love to dream with. Who would you say in your mind is the best ever, both male and female?
Oh man, male, and as soon as I say it, you'll realize I'm probably a little biased, but I think I might have to go with Undertaker for male.
That's a good choice.
He's lasted so long.
Yes.
And he's been so relevant throughout pretty much my entire existence.
Right.
I mean, he can change with the times when he needs to. He can adapt. And you just know by watching him that he gets it. Like he's not out there just for personal glory. He's out there to entertain and just kick everybody's ass.
Right. I agree. And female?
That one's a little tougher because there have been a lot of females out there. I know right now we're witnessing the greats being born, I think, with Becky and Charlotte and Asuka, and Bayley's really starting to show some promise there. But I think overall I might have to say Trish Stratus.
Trish Stratus, okay. Both valid choices, Undertaker and Trish. A lot of people would agree with your choice of those two. I personally think they're both excellent choices. Trish is definitely, in my opinion, one of the best as well. She was one of those ones that really kind of started that. The whole of taking women in wrestling kind of serious. I mean, I think it was the Lita, Trish, China. It was that time, that era. That's when I think it really people started to take notice. Like, okay, hey, they can get out there and get it done just as well.
Yeah, I mean, she was part of the Diva era, but she started, like you were saying, I think she started some of that transition into taking women seriously, because some of her stuff in the ring is just, like, at that time was really pushing boundaries for what people expected women to be able to do.
Oh, I agree. And her and Trish her and Lita had some great matches and rivalries over the years too. I enjoyed watching. So now, just like when the guy I talked to last week, on this indie spotlight, Sean O'Reilly. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, but I asked him this question, and I'm going to ask you the same. Just because right now it's the hottest thing in wrestling at the moment. It is the hot topic that everyone is talking about. What's your thoughts on The Fiend and that character?
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's talk about pushing some boundaries.
Yeah. So are you one of the ones that wants to see the eventual? Since you talked about the Undertaker, that Fiend Undertaker match.
Part of me would love to see it, but part of me is worried about Undertaker. Like I said before about how he's one of the greats because of his adaptability, but I think Undertaker might be pushing it a little bit right now because like they keep retiring him and bringing him back.
Yeah.
And I know where he's coming from in that because like you don't want to give it up. Once you start it, you don't want to leave the ring. And there's always going to be that desire to come back. But at some point you have to realize that maybe like you got to pass down the torch. And while I would love the chance to get to see him in person and just be there for that entrance, because I so many people have told me like they've been there for that entrance and you can just feel the electricity when he stepped out. Oh, yeah. And I would love to be able to experience that someday, but I don't want it to be at a personal cost to him.
Right. Yeah, as somebody who has been at a show and seen Undertaker live, I was at when WrestleMania was in Orlando for the first time. I was at that WrestleMania, and I'm telling you, when those bells hit, you literally can feel it. It just, you feel the vibration, and the crowd does go crazy when he comes out there. It is something to watch. I personally would like to see the Undertaker Fiend match being, I would want to see it as Undertaker's last match. I think to me that would be that whole like the passing of the torch, so to speak. Because I think that the Fiend can be that new Undertaker type character, and my vision would be, I think, would just be awesome, and it's one that a match that Undertaker was synonymous for was the casket match.
Oh yeah.
And to me, I think it would just be it would be kind of cool to have that match, and at the end of the match, the Fiend obviously wins, and when him putting Undertaker into the cat and closing the lid on that, it would not only would just be the end of the match, but it would just kind of symbolize that, okay, it's my time now, and I'm going to be the new, that new Undertaker type character. I just think that would be such a cool way for Undertaker to have his final match and to do that. I just think the vision of that would be so cool. I picture the Fiend walking over and picking up the Undertaker's trench coat that he would wear, and kind of like putting it on, and I don't know, there's this whole thing I have in my head when I think about that. I think just how just visually that would just be so cool to watch that match, and then to see that at the end, it would be like, oh man, wow. But
yeah,
but that's me. Who knows? Not everyone might agree with me, but
I think out of anybody that they've tried to retire him against, I think that would be the most fitting.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Eliza, tell the people where they would be able to see it, what you got coming up here in the future, and where they can see you at.
Well, every Friday night I'm going to be in Daytona at 955 Orange Ave for Go Wrestle. And if you can't make it out to Daytona every Friday night for the taping, we do have the show archived online at GoWrestle.com. So you can catch up on the week's action when you missed out, or you can catch up on any of the shows because we have the full archive up there right now.
Oh, right on.
Go ahead. I have a couple other shows coming up in October. Next weekend is actually going to be a really busy one for me because Friday I'm in Daytona for Go Wrestle. Saturday I am up at 805 First Ave North in Jacksonville Beach for Pro Wrestling Rage. And Sunday, I'm going to be at 1640 Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard in Deltona for Knockouts Havoc show. That's actually a benefit for West Fallujah Cancer Aid.
Oh, very good. Very
so
good.
That's going to be a great show. That'll be for a great cause.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And then, yeah, it's going to be an awesome show. We're having a women's battle royale there. So definitely come out and check that one. Like I said, that one's in Deltona on October 6th, and that one starts at 5:30.
Okay.
And then the other show I'm in October is the 28th. That one is at the Stark National Guard Armory in Stark, Florida. It's a Halloween show, so come in costume for that one. It's IWA's Insane House Party. We have a women's fatal four-way for that one.
Oh, okay. It sounds like you got a busy month ahead of you.
Yep, it's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully I pick up that gold at Go Wrestle this month.
Yeah, there you go. Good luck to you. I'm rooting for you.
Thanks.
So, do you have a YouTube channel, maybe?
I do. I don't have a lot of content up there right now because most of my content is from Friday nights at Go Wrestle at our website, GoWrestle.com. But my outside matches, I'm trying to get up there. I have, I think, 3 or 4 right now. It's just look for Eliza Haze on YouTube.
Okay. And I know I sent you an invitation to our Facebook group that we have called Beyond the Squared Circle. If you haven't, then go ahead and join up, and I would definitely post any upcoming stuff you got there. As people be able to see these upcoming shows. You got links and everything, anything. Just let people know on there as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. And they can also follow me on, I'm on Facebook as well under Eliza Haze. And I am on Twitter. And my Twitter is 900_Eliza. And then I'm on Instagram at Eliza.Haze.
Outstanding. Very good. Very good. Well, it's been nice talking with you today. And I will definitely look forward to checking out some more of your matches. I'll be watching some myself. And like I said, just with these upcoming shows you got, by all means, post all the info as to when and where on the Facebook group, and you can look for this interview will be on our YouTube channel at 321 Screw on Tuesday nights from 6 to 7 is when we air this Indie Spotlight, which is what you are now part of. So, and then of course check out our regular show, which is every Thursday night from 9 to 10:30 on YouTube. We call it the Thursday Throwdown. Myself, I have 2 other partners, Fabulous B and Big Shot Joe. So we'll definitely keep an eye out for you here in the future. And like I said, good luck to you with chasing that gold.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on here, Captain Bell. It was a blast.